Today there are a lot of updates from the Bakhmut direction. Here, in a bold move, Russian forces launched a massive wave of attacks on Chasiv Yar's northern flank, aiming to cross the canal and establish a critical bridgehead. Despite their relentless efforts and heavy use of mechanized infantry, the operation faced fierce Ukrainian resistance, leading to a decisive confrontation. The primary Russian vector of attack is directed towards the Novyi and Zhovtnevyi districts of the town to establish a bridgehead to the west of the canal quickly. By establishing a bridgehead, Russians could facilitate advances towards the town center. Russian command could expand the bridgehead and accumulate additional forces to form a strike force that could advance westwards, leveraging air support and extensive artillery fire. The main Russian goal was to establish a bridgehead at Zhovtnevyi district. To achieve this, Russian forces had to accumulate and prepare at the Orlova forest to the north of the district. Russian troops were being deployed here by a bridge and small makeshift crossings to force the canal at night and hide in the forest to the west during the day. Ukrainians are unable to destroy the Russian troops crossing the canal because of the intense interference of Russian electronic warfare assets, which disrupts Ukrainian drone operations, while artillery barrages take more time to achieve the desired effect. After preparing forces in the Orlova forest, Russians had to send forward a BMP loaded with infantry from the east of the canal across the bridge. Russians utilized the BMPs to quickly transport infantry to establish forward positions in the Zhovtnevyi district so that the additional infantry in the forest could reinforce the positions and strengthen the attacks. In a video published by Ukrainian fighters, Russian BMP-3 infantry fighting vehicle loaded with infantry crossed the canal under heavy Ukrainian artillery fire. The BMP is using its 30mm autocannon to suppress Ukrainian positions and provide cover for dismounting Russian infantry. The vehicle managed to unload a total of 8 stormtroopers before it was struck by an FPV drone, leaving the infantry isolated without fire support at the trench where they were destroyed afterward. The original, uncensored combat footage of all operations can be found on our Telegram channel through the link in the description. Russian command knows that this type of assault is deadly and unlikely to result in significant gains, so they have decided to repeat the same assaults over and over again to establish a bridgehead. Deployment of BMP-3s, the best protected and armed Russian infantry fighting vehicles, shows a focus on this section of the battlefield. So far, the Russian assaults across the canal only forced the Ukrainians to slightly withdraw from their positions westward to create an artillery and FPV pocket. However, the Russians realized that their assaults towards the center of Chasiv Yar were being disrupted by powerful Ukrainian firing positions at the refractory plant and the northern coal mine. The coal mine is an elevated position that overlooks most of Chasiv Yar, providing Ukrainian mortar and grenade launcher operators with positions to strike Russian assault groups. With such intense yet casualty-heavy operations, the Russian command achieved limited success in accumulating forces at Zhovtnevyi district. The Russian survival rate throughout the operation was low because there were 3 to 4 survivors from a dismounted squad of 8 carried by a BMP during the assault. Ukrainian fighters reported that they did not have enough time to locate and destroy surviving Russian fighters from the first BMP assault because Russians kept sending one squad after another with less than 60 minutes between the attacks. The surviving 3 to 4 stormtroopers of each assault unit would thus gradually accumulate for further assaults to expand the bridgehead. This tactic worked for as long as the Russians had reserves to deploy for reinforcements and replacement of losses. However, as the Russian command soon ran out of additional troops and equipment to deploy, the intensity of the assault gradually decreased, leading to its halt. The situation gave the Ukrainian fighters time to locate and destroy the isolated Russian survivors of the assaults that were cut off from their supplies and reinforcements. Soon the Ukrainian fighters in the area confirmed that the Russian bridge had collapsed and the Russian fighters were pushed back. Overall, the Russian attempts to establish a bridgehead at Chasiv Yar reveal a troubling reliance on attritional tactics that prioritize sheer force over strategic finesse. The repeated heavy casualty assaults underscored a fundamental flaw in Russian military strategy. Even the heavy reliance on mechanized units and electronic warfare failed to compensate for the critical losses in personnel and equipment gradually leading to operational exhaustion. This pattern of high casualty operations, without achieving significant territorial gains, not only strained Russian resources, but also highlighted a broader issue of inadequate adaptation to evolving battlefield dynamics. If you're against the invasion of Ukraine and you want to support the work that I am doing, consider making a purchase in the online store UA Supporter. Here you can find a lot of products with Ukrainian symbols to not only show your support for this channel, but also for Ukraine. The link to the online store is in the description. Thank you for watching this report, and I will see you in the next one.